Dr. Minho Park pressed his face against the thick glass window and stared at the thing inside the cell. The creature was huge, almost 8 feet tall, with 6 arms that ended in claws sharp enough to cut through metal. Its skin looked like black armor, but thin lines of blue light ran underneath it like veins. The light pulsed slowly like a heartbeat. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said Dr. Uniseo as she walked up beside him. She carried a tablet full of data about their prisoner. Minho shook his head. "Beautiful isn't the word I'd use. Terrifying, maybe." The research station called Harmony floated in space near a field of broken rocks. It was far from Earth, far from any safe place. Minho had been working here for 6 months, studying alien life forms. But nothing like this hunter had ever been brought to the station before. Commander Jiwon Kim's voice came over the speaker system. "All staff remember that the specimen in Lab 7 is Class X. No one goes near it without permission. No direct contact allowed." Minho watched the hunter through the glass. It sat perfectly still in the center of its cell, but its amber eyes seemed to follow his movements. The energy barriers around the cell hummed with power. 3 feet of titanium steel walls surrounded those barriers. Nothing could break out of there. "How did they catch it?" Minho asked. Una checked her tablet. "Military squad found it on Valterra. They said it killed 12 soldiers before they stunned it with plasma nets. Took 4 ships to bring it here." 12 soldiers, Minho repeated. He looked at the creature again. It hadn't moved, but somehow it seemed to be listening to their conversation. The hunter's planet Valterra was now under hegemony control. The hegemony was a group of alien races that ruled most of the galaxy. They took over planets and used their resources. Humans were new to galactic politics and tried to stay neutral, but everyone knew the hegemony was dangerous. "What do they want us to learn from it?" Minho asked. "Everything," Una said. "How it thinks, how it fights, how to kill it. The hegemony wants to know if there are more of them out there." Minho spent the next few days watching the hunter from the observation deck. It never seemed to sleep. Sometimes it would stand and walk around its cell, moving with a grace that didn't match its size. Other times it would sit and stare at the walls. But whenever Minho was watching, those amber eyes would find him. The creature's bio-readings were strange. Its heart rate would increase when Minho entered the observation room. Its brain activity would spike. Dr. Tae-hoon Lim, the chief engineer, said the readings reminded him of someone who was excited or curious. "It's just an animal," said Security Chief Dong-hyuk Choi during a staff meeting. "A very dangerous animal. We should be studying it from as far away as possible." "The brain scans suggest otherwise," Minho argued. "Its neural patterns are more complex than ours." "This thing is intelligent." "Intelligent enough to kill," Dong-hyuk replied. "I've read the reports from Valterra. These creatures hunted in packs. They could tear through armored vehicles like paper." Commander Jiwon Kim listened to both sides. "Our job is to study it safely. The protocols exist for a reason. We follow them." But Minho couldn't stop thinking about the hunter. Late at night, when most of the crew was sleeping, he would go to his lab next to the containment area. He would work on his research, but part of his mind was always aware of the creature on the other side of the wall. One night, 3 weeks after the hunter's arrival, Minho was analyzing tissue samples when he heard a strange sound. It was like metal being bent, but much louder. Then the lights went out. Emergency power kicked in, bathing everything in red light. Alarms started screaming throughout the station. Minho's computer screen flashed with warnings about containment failure in Lab 7. The hunter had escaped. Minho's heart pounded as he heard footsteps running through the corridors. Security teams were mobilizing. He knew he should run, should get to the safe areas of the station. Instead, he sat frozen at his desk, listening for any sign of the creature. The door to his lab was made of the same titanium steel as the containment cell. It would hold. It had to hold. Something moved in the shadows near the door. Minho held his breath and tried not to make any sound. Whatever was out there was big. He could hear it breathing. Then he saw the claws. 4 razor-sharp claws pushed through the metal door like it was made of soft clay. The claws pulled and the door came apart with a screech that hurt Minho's ears. The hunter stepped through the hole it had made. Up close, the creature was even more impressive. Its armor-like skin reflected the red emergency lights. The blue lines under its skin pulsed faster now, almost like it was excited. It could have crossed the room and killed Minho in seconds, but it didn't. The hunter looked around the lab, its amber eyes taking in every detail. It moved carefully, almost gently, avoiding Minho's equipment. Then it did something that shocked him completely. It sat down on the floor next to Minho's workstation. The creature folded its 6 arms and looked directly at Minho. There was something in its eyes that wasn't animal at all. It was curiosity, intelligence, maybe even friendship. Security teams found them 20 minutes later. They burst into the lab with weapons ready, expecting to find Minho's body. Instead, they found him sitting at his desk while the most dangerous predator in the galaxy sat peacefully beside him like a giant, deadly pet. "Don't move," Dong-hyuk shouted, raising his plasma rifle. "Don't even breathe," but Minho was already moving. Not away from the hunter, but closer to it. He reached out slowly and placed his hand on the creature's arm. The armor-like skin was warm and smooth. The hunter's eyes never left his face. "It's not here to hurt anyone," Minho said quietly. "It's here because it wants to understand us." The hunter made a sound then, low and harmonic like whale song. The blue lines under its skin pulsed in rhythm with the sound. It was trying to communicate. As security teams surrounded them, Minho realized that everything they thought they knew about the hunter was wrong. It wasn't a mindless predator. It was something much more dangerous to the hegemony's plans. It was intelligent, and it was curious about humans. The emergency meeting started at dawn. Commander Ji-won Kim sat at the head of the table, looking tired. She had spent the night dealing with reports and damage assessments. The hunter had torn through 3 feet of reinforced walls like they were made of paper. "We need to destroy it," Security Chief Dong-hyuk Choi said, slamming his hand on the table. "That thing could have killed Dr. Park. It could have killed anyone on this station." "But it didn't," Minho said calmly. He had been thinking about the hunter all night. "It broke out of the strongest containment cell we have, but it didn't hurt anyone. It came to my lab and sat down. That's not the behavior of a mindless killer. It's a predator," Dong-hyuk argued. "Predators play with their food." Dr. Yuniseo pulled up data on her tablet. Actually, the bio reading suggests something different. During the escape, the hunter's stress hormones remained normal. It wasn't agitated or aggressive. Its brain activity showed patterns similar to problem-solving. "Problem-solving?" Commander Ji-won asked. "It wanted to get to Dr. Park," Yuna continued. "So it figured out how to disable the containment field and break through the walls. The most direct route to its goal." Chief Engineer Tae-hoon Lim nodded. "The way it overloaded the energy barriers was sophisticated. It used the field's own frequency against it. I couldn't have done it better myself." Minho leaned forward. "We have a chance here to make real contact with an alien intelligence. Something that might be more advanced than us. We can't just throw that away." "The hegemony expects a full report," Commander Ji-won reminded them. "They want to know everything about this creature's capabilities." "If we tell them it's intelligent," she didn't need to finish. "Everyone knew what the hegemony did with intelligent species that might threaten their control. They enslaved them or destroyed them. Give me time," Minho said. "Let me try to communicate with it. If I'm right about its intelligence, we might learn something that could help humanity." Commander Ji-won was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. "You have 48 hours. But we do this carefully. New containment procedures, constant monitoring." The hunter had been moved to a larger cell with stronger barriers. When Minho entered the observation area, he found the creature waiting for him. It was sitting in the same position as the night before, arms folded, watching the door. Minho sat down at a table where the hunter could see him clearly. He pulled out a tablet and stylus, then began drawing simple shapes on the screen. Circle, square, triangle. The hunter watched without moving. Then Minho held up one finger. "1," he said clearly. He drew a single dot on the tablet. The hunter tilted its head slightly. The blue lines under its skin pulsed once. Minho held up 2 fingers. 2. He drew 2 dots. The hunter's skin pulsed twice. Excitement built in Minho's chest, but he kept his voice calm. 3 fingers, 3 dots. The hunter's skin pulsed 3 times. "Dr. Seo," Minho called through his comm unit. "You need to see this." Yuna arrived within minutes along with Tae-hoon. They watched as Minho continued the counting exercise. The hunter responded correctly every time, up to 10. "Now let's try something harder," Minho said. He drew the number sequence 2, 4, 6, 8 on his tablet, then showed it to the hunter. The creature studied the screen for several seconds. Then its skin began to pulse in a complex pattern. 2 pulses, pause, 4 pulses, pause, 6 pulses, pause, 8 pulses, pause, 10 pulses. It understood the pattern, Yuna whispered. It predicted the next number. Taehoon was recording everything. Try prime numbers. Minho drew 2, 3, 5, 7, 11 on his screen. The hunter looked at it for a moment, then its skin pulsed. 13. Impossible, Taehoon breathed. But the hunter wasn't finished. It moved to the wall of its cell and began tapping with one claw. The taps came in a rhythm. Tap, tap, pause, tap, 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 pause, tap, 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 tap. It's giving us the sequence, Minho realized. 2, 3, 5. The hunter continued tapping prime numbers up to 31, then stopped and looked directly at Minho. It's showing off, Yuna said with amazement. Over the next 2 days, they established more complex communication. The hunter learned to associate different sounds with different concepts. It could distinguish between colors, shapes, and numbers. More importantly, it began to initiate communication itself. When Minho entered the observation room on the second day, the hunter was already at the wall. It tapped out a mathematical sequence, then waited. It's asking me a question, Minho said. The sequence was the Fibonacci sequence up to 21. The hunter wanted to know the next number. Minho tapped back. 34. The hunter's response surprised everyone. It made that whale song sound again. But this time the pitch rose and fell in what could only be described as pleasure. It was happy that Minho had answered correctly. We need to tell Commander Kim, Yuna said. This changes everything. But when they arrived at the commander's office, they found her in a meeting with someone they didn't expect. A man in a hegemony military uniform stood beside her desk reading a report. Enforcer Nam, Commander Jiwon said formally. This is Dr. Park, our xenobiologist. Enforcer Sungwoo Nam was tall and thin with cold eyes. He looked at Minho like he was studying an insect. Dr. Park, I've been reading about your work with our specimen. Very interesting. The hunter is showing signs of high intelligence, Minho said carefully. We're making progress in establishing communication. Hunter? Enforcer Nam smiled, but it wasn't a friendly expression. Is that what you call it? How quaint. The hegemony prefers more scientific designations. Specimen VT1 will be transferred to our research facilities within the week. Minho's heart sank. He knew what happened at hegemony research facilities. Sir, with respect, we're just beginning to understand what this creature is capable of. If we transfer it now, Dr. Park, Enforcer Nam interrupted, your job is to gather preliminary data. The real research will be conducted by hegemony scientists. They have methods that are more direct. That night, Minho couldn't sleep. He went to the observation deck and found the hunter waiting for him as always. The creature seemed to sense his distress. Its bio-readings showed elevated stress levels, too. Minho sat down and began their usual communication routine, but his heart wasn't in it. In a few days, the hunter would be taken away. It would be cut apart by hegemony scientists who only saw it as a weapon to be understood and replicated. The hunter tapped on the wall. The pattern was new, more complex than anything it had used before. Minho listened carefully and realized it wasn't mathematics. It was rhythm, like music. As he listened, Minho understood that the hunter was trying to tell him something important. Something about itself, about its people, about why it was really here. The tapping continued, growing more urgent. And slowly, impossibly, Minho began to understand what the hunter was really trying to say. It wasn't alone. Minho started spending his lunch breaks in the observation room. The hunter seemed to enjoy the company. It would sit near the window and make soft harmonic sounds while Minho ate. Sometimes it would tap out mathematical problems on the wall, like it was giving Minho puzzles to solve. You're getting attached to it, Dr. Yuna Seo warned him one afternoon. That's dangerous. It has a name, Minho said. Or something like a name. When it makes that low humming sound, it's referring to itself. I think it sounds like Keth. Yuna looked through the window at the hunter. Keth, she repeated. You really think it has that level of self-awareness? I know it does, Minho said. Watch this. He tapped on the glass in the rhythm they had established for his own name. Immediately the hunter looked up and made its humming sound. Then it tapped back the rhythm for Minho's name. It knows who I am, Minho explained. It recognizes me as an individual, not just another human. The breakthrough came during the third week. Minho was working late again when he heard the familiar sound of the hunter moving around its cell. But tonight was different. The creature was making new sounds, complex patterns of harmonics that seemed to carry meaning. Minho grabbed his recording equipment and started documenting everything. The sounds weren't random. They had structure, grammar, meaning. It was language. Yuna, he called through his comm. Get down here. Bring Taehun too. When they arrived, the hunter was still singing its complex song. The biomonitor showed unusual activity in its neural pathways, like it was accessing deep memories. It's telling a story, Minho said with certainty. As they listened, patterns emerged. The hunter's song had rhythm and melody, but also something else. The blue lines under its skin began to glow brighter, creating patterns that matched the sounds. The bioluminescence, Taehun said in wonder. It's part of the communication system, visual and auditory together. The hunter's skin lit up with swirling patterns of blue light. The display was beautiful, like watching Aurora Borealis dance across living skin. But Minho could see there was meaning in the pattern structure that matched the harmonic sounds. We need to record everything, Yuna said, setting up additional cameras. This could be their written language, their history, their culture, all combined into one form of expression. The hunter continued its song for over an hour. When it finished, it looked directly at Minho and made the soft humming sound that meant Keth. Then it touched its chest and made the sound again, but different this time, sadder. It's telling us about its people, Minho realized, about what happened to them. Over the following days, they began to decode parts of the hunter's story. Using computer analysis and pattern recognition, they identified recurring themes in the bioluminescent displays. War, loss, hiding, searching. The hegemony didn't just conquer their planet, Yuna explained to Commander Jiwan during their weekly briefing. They systematically hunted down the hunter species. What we're seeing here might be one of the last survivors. Commander Jiwan looked troubled. Enforcer Nam is scheduled to arrive in 3 days to take the specimen. If what you're saying is true, we can't let them have Keth, Minho said firmly. This isn't just about scientific discovery anymore. We're talking about genocide. Dr. Park, the commander said carefully, you're talking about defying the hegemony. That could mean war for humanity. But their conversation was interrupted by alarms. Emergency lights flashed red throughout the station. Over the intercom, Security Chief Dongyuk's voice crackled with tension. Medical emergency in Engineering Section C. All medical personnel respond immediately. They rushed to the engineering section to find chaos. Hyemin Jin, a young maintenance worker, lay unconscious on the floor beside a damaged power coupling. Electrical burns covered her arms and face. She was replacing a faulty relay, Taehun explained as medical teams worked on her. Something went wrong with the power flow. The shock should have killed her. Dr. Sujin Park, the station's chief medical officer, shook her head grimly. Her nervous system is in shock. The electrical damage is extensive. I'm not sure we can save her. That's when they heard it. The hunter's song, but different this time. Urgent, almost panicked. The sound was coming through the station's ventilation system. It knows, Minho said. Somehow it knows what happened. The hunter's song grew louder, more complex. On the medical monitors, Hyemin's vital signs began to fluctuate wildly. Something's interfering with our equipment, Dr. Sujin said, checking her instruments. But Minho was watching the readings more carefully. No, he said. Look at the patterns. The hunter's bioelectrical field is synchronizing with her nervous system. Security Chief Dongyuk appeared in the doorway. The specimen has breached containment again. It's trying to get to this section. Let it, Minho said suddenly. Are you insane? Dongyuk demanded. Look at Hyemin's readings, Minho insisted. The hunter is stabilizing her nervous system. It's trying to help her. Commander Jiwan had arrived and was studying the medical data. The impossible was happening. Hyemin's vital signs were improving, becoming more stable with each passing minute. How is this possible? Dr. Sujin asked. The hunter's people must have evolved sophisticated bioelectrical capabilities, Yuna explained. It's using its own nervous system to regulate hers. The sound of tearing metal echoed through the corridors. The hunter was getting closer. Stand down, Commander G1 ordered her security teams. Let it through. Keth appeared in the doorway moments later, moving with surprising grace for something so large. It crossed the room carefully, avoiding the medical equipment, and knelt beside Hyemin. The hunter placed one clawed hand gently on her forehead. The blue lines under its skin pulsed in rhythm with the medical monitors. Hyemin's breathing became steady, regular. Incredible, Dr. Sujin whispered. It's actually repairing the neural damage. For 20 minutes, the hunter maintained its connection with Hyaman. When it finally pulled away, her vital signs were completely stable. The electrical burns on her skin had even begun to heal. Keth looked up at the assembled humans and made its humming sound. But this time the harmony was different. It sounded like a question. "It's asking if she's going to be okay," Minho translated. Commander Jiwan stared at the hunter with new understanding. "This changes everything." Security Chief Dongyuk lowered his weapon. "It saved her life." The hunter stood slowly and looked around the room at all the humans watching it. Then it did something none of them expected. It touched its chest and made the humming sound for its own name. Then it pointed to each human in turn and made the sounds it had learned for their names. "It's introducing itself," Yuna said in amazement. "Formally. Like it's trying to become part of our community." Keth made one more sound, a complex harmony that seemed to encompass everyone in the room. Even without translation equipment, they all understood what it meant. Friend Commander Jiwan made her decision. "Dr. Park, how much time do you need to establish full communication with our guest?" "Our guest?" Minho asked hopefully. "The hunter isn't a specimen," she said firmly. "It's a refugee. And refugees deserve protection." But even as she spoke, they all knew that Enforcer Nam was coming. And when he arrived, their choice to protect Keth would put the entire station in danger. The hunter seemed to understand this too. It looked toward the viewports that showed the stars beyond, and its bioluminescent display flickered with what could only be described as sadness. It knew what was coming, and it was preparing to say goodbye. The Hegemony battlecruiser arrived exactly when Enforcer Nam had promised. It was massive, bristling with weapons that could destroy the research station in seconds. Commander Jiwan Kim watched it approach through the main viewport, her hands clasped tightly behind her back. "They're not taking any chances," Security Chief Donghyuk observed. "That's enough firepower to level a small planet." Enforcer Sungwoo Nam transported aboard with a full squad of Hegemony soldiers. They wore powered armor and carried plasma weapons designed to kill hunters. Their faces were hidden behind dark visors, making them look more like machines than living beings. "Commander Kim," Enforcer Nam said as he stepped off the transport pad, "I trust the specimen is ready for transfer." "There have been some complications," Commander Jiwan replied carefully. "We've discovered that the hunter is highly intelligent. It's been communicating with our staff." Enforcer Nam's expression didn't change. "How interesting. That will make our research even more valuable." Minho stepped forward. "Sir, this being has shown remarkable intelligence and empathy. It saved one of our crew members' lives. We believe it may be the last of its species." "Dr. Park," Enforcer Nam said coldly, "you seem to have developed an emotional attachment to our specimen. That's unfortunate, but not unexpected. Humans are known for their sentimental nature." The Enforcer gestured to his soldiers. "Prepare the specimen for transport. Use heavy restraints and neural suppressors." "You can't do this," Minho protested. "Keth is a sentient being. It has rights, Keth." Enforcer Nam smiled that cold smile again. "You've named it. How touching. Tell me, Dr. Park, does your Keth know what happened to the rest of its kind?" Minho felt a chill run down his spine. "What do you mean?" "The hunters weren't just predators," Enforcer Nam explained as they walked toward the containment area. "They were guardians of something much more dangerous. Information, locations, secrets that could threaten hegemony stability." He paused outside the containment cell where Keth waited. The hunter was sitting in its usual position, but its bioluminescent patterns were flashing rapidly. It knew something was wrong. "You see," Enforcer Nam continued, "the hunters weren't protecting their own world. They were protecting dozens of worlds. Hidden colonies where species that should have been conquered or destroyed have been living in secret for centuries." Dr. Yuna Seo gasped. "Refugee worlds, precisely. And each hunter carries the genetic key to finding these hidden sanctuaries. Their bioelectrical signatures are literally the passwords to a vast underground network of rebels and refugees." Minho looked at Keth through the reinforced glass. The hunter was staring directly at him, its amber eyes full of understanding. It knew what Enforcer Nam was saying. That's why you want him, Minho realized. Not to study his combat abilities. To find the refugee worlds. "The hegemony brings order to the galaxy," Enforcer Nam said. "These hidden colonies represent chaos. They must be brought under proper control." Commander Jiwon stepped between the Enforcer and the containment cell. I can't allow you to take our guest for that purpose. Guest? Enforcer Nam laughed. Commander, you seem to misunderstand your position. Humanity exists in this galaxy only because the hegemony allows it. Do not test our patience. The Enforcer activated a device on his wrist. Captain, prepare the neural extraction equipment. We'll begin the procedure immediately. That's when everything changed. The lights throughout the station flickered. Emergency power systems activated and deactivated randomly. Computer screens displayed scrolling code that no one had written. What's happening? Enforcer Nam demanded. Chief Engineer Tae-Hoon Lim was checking his instruments with growing amazement. Something is interfacing directly with our main computer system. The quantum processors are operating at levels I've never seen before. Through the containment cell window, they could see Keth standing with its arms extended. The blue lines under its skin were pulsing in complex patterns brighter than they had ever been before. It's in our systems. Yuna breathed. The hunter is communicating directly with our computers. Enforcer Nam drew his weapon. Impossible. The containment field prevents any form of transmission. Not transmission, Tae-Hoon said, studying his readings. Integration. It's using bioelectrical fields to interface with our quantum processing cores. The technology required for this is centuries beyond anything we understand. The station's defensive system suddenly came online. Weapons that had been dormant for years began powering up. Shield generators activated at full strength. The docking clamps holding the hegemony transport ship released with a metallic clang. Stop this immediately, Enforcer Nam ordered, pointing his weapon at Minho. Make it stop, or I'll kill every human on this station. But Keth wasn't finished. The hunter's bioluminescent display shifted to show what looked like star maps. Coordinates flowed across its skin in patterns of living light. It's showing us something, Minho said. Locations. The refugee worlds. No, Yuna corrected, studying the patterns more carefully. It's not showing us where they are. It's showing us how to hide them better. Through the station's upgraded systems, they could see the hegemony battlecruiser changing course. Its weapons were powering down. Its crew seemed confused by orders they couldn't understand. The hunter has taken control of their ship, Tae-Hoon reported with disbelief. It's sending them false navigation data. They think they're pursuing us, but they're actually heading away from the station. Enforcer Nam was furious. This is impossible. Our ships have quantum encrypted systems. No alien technology can penetrate them. Keth looked directly at the Enforcer and made a sound they had never heard before. It was deep and resonant, like the song of some massive creature from the depths of an ocean. The sound seemed to carry meaning that transcended language. What did it say? Enforcer Nam demanded. Minho met the hunter's gaze and somehow understood. It said, "You underestimated us." The Enforcer raised his weapon toward Keth, but Security Chief Donghyuk was faster. His stun blast knocked Enforcer Nam unconscious before he could fire. "Sir," one of the hegemony soldiers said uncertainly, "our orders were to follow the Enforcer's commands." "Your Enforcer just threatened to murder civilians," Commander Jiwon replied firmly. "That violates even hegemony military law." As the hegemony soldiers debated what to do, Keth's display shifted again. New patterns of light flowed across its skin, and suddenly every computer screen on the station showed the same image. It was a star map, but not like any they had seen before. It showed not just the locations of stars and planets, but the hidden pathways between them. Secret routes used by refugee ships, safe harbors where the hegemony had never looked. "It's giving us the network," Yuna whispered. "All of it." But more than that, the map showed something else. A route from their current location to the nearest refugee world. A path to safety. Keth looked at Minho one more time and made the humming sound that meant its name. Then it made the sound for Minho's name. Then a new sound, one that somehow conveyed choice. "It's asking if we want to come with it," Minho translated. "To the hidden worlds." Commander Jiwon looked at her crew, at the unconscious Enforcer, at the confused hegemony soldiers. She thought about what would happen when the hegemony realized what they had lost here. "How long until the battlecruiser realizes it's been tricked?" she asked Tae-Hoon. "Maybe an hour," he replied. "Then they'll come back with everything they have." Commander Jiwon made her decision. "All hands prepare for emergency departure. We're leaving hegemony space." As the station's engines came online, powered by technology they didn't understand, Minho realized that their choice to protect one refugee had made them all refugees. But looking at Keth, seeing the hope in those alien eyes, he knew they had made the right choice. They were going home. Not to Earth, but to something better. A place where different species could live together without fear. A place where hunters and humans could be friends. The research station Harmony had never been designed for faster-than-light travel. Its engines were meant for moving between nearby asteroids, not jumping across star systems. But as Keth interfaced with the ship's quantum drive, impossible things began to happen. Power levels are at 300% of normal capacity, Chief Engineer Tae-Hoon Lim reported, his voice filled with wonder. The fusion reactors are running smoother than they ever have. It's like the hunter is teaching our machines how to work better. Minho watched Keth through the reinforced window of what was no longer a containment cell. The hunter had its 6 arms spread wide, touching different surfaces throughout the room. Blue light flowed from its skin into the walls, the floor, the ceiling. The entire station was becoming part of its nervous system. Is it safe? Dr. Yunaseo asked, monitoring the bioelectrical readings. The integration is draining its life force, Dr. Sujin Park warned, studying the medical data. At this rate, the hunter won't survive more than a few hours. Minho's heart clenched. Keth is killing itself to save us. Commander Jiwon Kim stood on the bridge, watching space bend around them in ways that human science said were impossible. How long until we reach the coordinates it showed us? At our current speed, about 6 hours, Navigation Officer Jiho Park replied. But Commander, our life support systems aren't designed for this kind of journey. We're already past our safety limits. Through the intercom, they could hear Keth's harmonic song growing weaker. The hunter was using its own biological energy to power systems that should have required a space station's worth of equipment. There has to be another way, Minho said desperately. He pressed his hands against the window. Keth, you don't have to do this alone. The hunter looked up at him with those amber eyes. Its bioluminescent display flickered weakly, showing patterns that Minho was beginning to recognize as emotion. Sadness, but also determination. Dr. Yuna suddenly grabbed Minho's arm. The neural interface patterns, she said urgently. When Keith helped Hyaman, it created a bioelectrical bridge between their nervous systems. What if we could do the same thing? Create a bridge between human and hunter nervous systems? Dr. Sujin looked horrified. The risk would be enormous. Human neural architecture isn't designed for that kind of integration. But it might work, Minho said, already moving toward the medical bay. If we could share the load, help Keth power the ship's systems without burning itself out. The procedure would be completely experimental, Dr. Sujin warned. You could die. Or worse, the neural feedback could leave you brain dead. Minho was already strapping himself into the medical chair. Keth saved Hyman's life. Now it's saving all of us. I have to try. They worked quickly, using everything they had learned about the hunter's bioelectrical system. Sensors designed to monitor alien physiology were adapted to create a bridge between Minho's nervous system and Keth's. I'm reading massive neural activity, Yuna reported as they initiated the connection, both from Dr. Park and the hunter. The moment the connection activated, Minho's world exploded into light and sensation. He could feel Keth's thoughts, its memories, its vast alien intelligence touching his own mind. For a terrifying moment, he thought he would be swept away by the sheer scale of the hunter's consciousness. Then Keith's presence stabilized him, guiding him gently through the neural interface. Images flowed between them. Keth's memories of its homeworld before the hegemony arrived. Vast cities of living crystal where hunters moved like graceful dancers through the air, but also memories of destruction. Hegemony ships burning those crystal cities. Hunter families torn apart as they tried to evacuate refugees from dozens of different species. The burden is shared now, Dr. Sujin reported with amazement. Both neural patterns are stable. The hunter's life signs are improving. Minho could feel the station's systems through Keth's consciousness. The fusion reactors hummed like living hearts. The quantum drive sang with harmonies that human ears couldn't hear, but human minds could somehow understand. Together, they guided the station through dimensions that existed between the known laws of physics. Space folded around them like origami made of starlight. We're approaching the coordinates, Jiho reported from the bridge. I'm seeing something impossible on the sensors. Through the viewports, they could see their destination. It looked like empty space at first, but as they drew closer, a hidden world revealed itself. Not a planet, but something far more wonderful. It was a vast habitat, built from the combined technologies of 100 different species. Living ships from the Veltari floated alongside crystalline structures that could only have been made by the Zephyrians. Organic towers that must have been grown by the plant-like arboreals stretched toward gardens in the sky. "How many species live here?" Commander Jiwan whispered. Through his connection with Keth, Minho could sense the answer. "All of them," he said softly. "Every species the hegemony tried to destroy. They're all here living together." As the station approached the habitat, other ships came out to meet them. But these weren't warships. They were rescue vessels, medical ships, transports designed to help refugees. "They're welcoming us," Yuna said. Tears in her eyes. A communication signal reached them. But it wasn't transmitted through normal radio waves. It came through the bioelectrical network that connected all the refuge ships. Minho could feel the thoughts and emotions of dozens of different alien species, all expressing the same sentiment. "Welcome home." Keth's presence in his mind shifted, becoming warmer, more joyful. The hunter was home among its own people again, but it was bringing something new with it. Humans. A species that had chosen compassion over fear, understanding over hatred. As their ship docked with the habitat, Minho felt the neural connection with Keth beginning to fade. The immediate crisis was over. They were safe, but something remained. A thin thread of understanding between their minds, a permanent bridge between human and hunter consciousness. "How do you feel?" Dr. Sujin asked as she removed the neural interface equipment. Minho considered the question. He felt changed, expanded. Part of his mind could still sense Keth's presence, and through it, the vast network of consciousness that connected all the refugee species. "I feel like I'm part of something larger," he said finally. Keth approached the window that had once separated them, but now there were no barriers between them. The hunter reached out with one clawed hand, and Minho pressed his palm against it. Through the glass, through the remaining neural connection, they shared a moment of perfect understanding. Commander Jiwan's voice came over the intercom. "All hands prepare for disembarkation. We're about to meet our new neighbors." As the airlock opened and the crew of Harmony stepped into the refugee habitat, they were greeted by beings from across the galaxy. Tall, graceful creatures that moved like living water, small furry beings with 6 eyes and musical voices, plant-like entities that communicated through scent and color, and among them other hunters, Keth's people, who had thought they would never see another of their kind again. Minho watched as Keth reunited with its family, their bioluminescent displays creating a symphony of light and joy. But the hunter didn't forget its human friends. It returned to Minho's side, making the harmonic sound that meant friend in a dozen different languages. "What happens now?" Yuna asked, looking out at the vast habitat that would be their new home. "Now we learn," Commander G1 said. "We help build something better than what we left behind." Minho felt Keth's presence in his mind, showing him visions of the future. Humans working alongside hunters to rescue other refugee species. New technologies born from the combination of human creativity and alien wisdom. A growing network of hidden worlds where different species could live in harmony. The hegemony had tried to use fear and hatred to control the galaxy. But they had made one crucial mistake. They had underestimated the power of friendship between different species. Standing beside his hunter friend in a sanctuary built by refugees for refugees, Minho knew that the galaxy was about to change. Not through conquest or force, but through the simple recognition that all intelligent life deserved freedom and respect. The hunter had torn a hole in the wall to sleep beside the human. In doing so, it had torn down the barriers between species and opened a path to a better future for everyone. In the end, that was the most human thing of all. The willingness to see beyond differences and find common ground with those who seemed alien. It was a gift that humanity could offer to the galaxy, and one that would echo through the stars for generations to come.